Hello, grade 7, dear parents and guardian, and once again, welcome back to another lesson of English Quarter 1, grade 7, week 3. For week 1, we learned about completing analogy, and for week 2, we learned about identifying the genres of material viewed. I hope you understood the previous lessons, and now let us proceed with week 3. Once again, I would like to express our gratitude to all the writers of the module for Pivot for a Calabarzon. I would like to emphasize that you have to read and follow your weekly home learning plan and doing your activities for week 3 because not all teachers require you to answer every activity since these activities are formative assessments or could be formative assessments and still they will provide you with their final summative assessment. Okay, but for this video, this will be a learn along video wherein you can expect to have explanations and corrections for the possible answers in every learning activity. Okay, for week 3, the lesson is passive and active voices. Or in other books and on the internet, it is commonly addressed as active and passive voice. Passive and active voices. For this lesson, it will highlight the grammatical features and forms of voices of the verb. This also focuses on points to be considered in transforming active voice to passive voice and vice versa. You are expected to, first, differentiate active and passive voices of the verb. Next, transform statements from active voice to passive voice and vice versa. And use active and passive voices in varied contexts. Okay. Just like all the other videos, all the other previous videos, there are also pre-activities before we move on to the discussion of the lesson. Okay, for learning task 1, the direction says in your notebook, copy and answer the statements below. Let us have a game by knowing who had the sweetest parents or guardians during your childhood days. There is also a disclaimer that the given statements in Learning Task 1 are just some of the ways on how our parents or guardians can show their sweetness to us, meaning there are still other ways which may not be indicated as to how they can let us feel how they love us. Okay, so don't you worry if you would be getting low scores here. Moderately sweet, sweet, or very sweet, since as the disclaimer says, these are not the only ways on how your parent could show their love for you. But since this is the list that we have on your module, let us proceed. Okay, so you just have to answer yes or no, and one yes is equivalent to 1 point. Let us begin. So later on, I will relate learning task 1 with our lesson. But for the meantime, let us proceed with learning task 2. Once again, this is a pre-activity. The directions says in your notebook, copy and answer the statements below. Then write A if the statement is in active voice and B if it is in passive form. Okay, so let us test your prior knowledge. When we say prior knowledge, yung kaalaman nyo bago pa ituro ito. Since active and passive voice of the verb were taught to you during your previous year or years during the elementary. And this is a pre-activity. Do not worry to get wrong or incorrect answers since the discussion will follow later. Okay, let us try sentence number 1. The doctor visited her patients in the hospital. Is it a sentence in active voice of the verb or is it in the passive form? Write your answer down. Next, for number 2, the medicine was administered by the nurse to the patients. A or B? Write your answer. Number 3, the lesson was delivered in a well-planned session. A or B? 4, Claudine, Gail, or Gaile reminded the teachers to submit their reports. A or B? Number 5, the fire prevention report was drafted by Edward. A or B? Number 6, Bea's chin underwent a medical procedure yesterday. A or B? The seeds were distributed as part of urban farming project. A or B? 8, Josephine dedicated her life to serve her husband. A or B? 9, Saviri's car was bought from a car shop last month. A or B? And 10, the king ordered the arrest of lawless citizens. A or B? Write your answers. We will check your answers later. Okay, so as we proceed with the lesson, there will be a discussion and active voice and passive voice will be explained to you thoroughly. And okay, for now, let us proceed with learning task 3. The direction says in your notebook, draw the air cycle below. Then in 4 to 5 sentences, explain how air cycle occurs. This is an image taken from Pinterest. And this is what you call a graphic organizer. Okay, so I will be giving you 1 minute to think about how the air cycle flows based on this graphic organizer. So let us see if you got the correct idea about air cycle. So let us start with the photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, plants and trees create their own food by using the sun, and in the process, they give off oxygen. Oxygen is used by people to breathe. for to respirate. And human beings or people give off carbon dioxide, which is used in photosynthesis process. So as you can see, this is a continuous process, meaning if you started your sentences um, with oxygen is used in respiration and humans give off carbon dioxide which is used in photosynthesis, that is okay since it is a cycle. It is an unending process. Okay, so now let us proceed with the voices of the verb. Voices of the verb focuses on the function of the subject being either the doer or performer or the receiver of the action. They are classified as two. One, active, and the second one is passive. So what is the difference between the two? When we say active voice, it occurs when the subject of the sentence acts as the performer or doer of the action, while passive voice, on the other hand, indicates that the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Though it is not always present, the doer of the action in passive voice is introduced by the preposition by. Okay, so let us have these two examples. Active. The teachers prepared the materials for their classes. The subject here is the teacher. And the subject teachers is the doer of the action here. Sino ang nag-prepare o sino ang naghanda ng mga kakailanganing materyales? Ang mga teacher. So they are the doer of the action. And the predicate, the materials of their classes, expressed or indicates who is the receiver of the action prepared, which is the materials. On the other hand, the passive sentence of this previous statement is the materials were prepared by, okay, do you see the preposition by the teachers for their classes. The subject is the receiver of the action. Siya yung tumanggap noong action noong ating doer dito na nasa part na siya ng predicate. In Filipino, aktibo, ang mga teachers ay naghanda ng mga materyales para sa kanilang klase. So, aktibo, yung kung sino yung kumilos, siya yung nasa unahan ng pangungusap. Samantalang yung passive, ang mga materyales ay inihanda ng mga teachers para sa kanilang klase. So, naunang banggitin kung ano yung bagay na tumanggap ng action ng ating doer. Okay. Let us see if you can answer this short activity. Directions. Tell whether the caption for each photo is in passive voice or active voice. Put your left hand on your chest if your answer is passive, and clap your hands twice if your answer is active voice. Okay, ulitin natin. Kapag ang sagot nyo ay passive voice, yung nasa picture, ipapatong nyo yung kaliwang kamay ninyo sa inyong dibdib or malapit sa inyong puso. At kapag naman ang sagot nyo ay active, papalakpak kayo ng 2 beses. Pumalakpak. Okay, so let us have this first photo. The caption is, "The book was read yesterday." The book was read yesterday. So we have the subject, the book, Ang action ay was read, binasa, yesterday. Okay? What is your answer? Go! The correct answer is putting your left hand on your chest because this is in passive voice. The book was read yesterday. Yung tumanggap ng action ay yung material, the book. Next. She washed the floor. What is your answer? You should have clap your hands too. Because this is in active voice. The person herself is the doer and the subject in this sentence. She washed the floor. Next. My sister read an interesting book. Is it passive or active? Will you put your hand on your chest or will you clap your hands twice? Correct answer is clap your hands twice. Very good. Because, once again, the subject is the doer of the action. Next, the blackboard was cleaned by Tom. The answer is putting your left hand on your chest because this is in passive voice. The material is the receiver of the action. Okay, let us analyze the difference. The book was read yesterday is in passive voice, while my sister read an interesting book is in active voice. Okay, so for this one, the book is the receiver of the action. Receiver siya ng action, passive. While in active voice, the person or the subject is the doer of the action. Okay? Ulit natin. Passive, receiver of the action. Active, the subject is the doer of the action. Another one. Okay, try to explain this on your own. I'm giving you 2 minutes to explain passive voice here and active voice here. Go! Thank you. I hope you were able to explain the difference between passive voice and active voice in these two images in your own words. Kung kayo man po ay nagtagalog, ang importante na ipaliwanag at naintindihan nyo ang pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Okay, ulitin po natin. Kapag passive, ang subject ang tumatanggap ng action. Kapag active, ang subject ang mismong gumagawa ng action o kilos. A more detailed explanation. So, just like in mathematics, we do have formulas. So, in English, we also have them. So, in passive voice, we have the object plus verb plus the subject.
And you may kindly read the examples on your own. While on the other hand, the active voice we use subject plus verb plus the object, where the subject is the doer of the action. And the example also. So by the examples, the house was painted by Anna turned Anna painted the house. Passive, the students' questions are answered by the teacher. Into active, the teacher always answers the students' questions. From passive, the video was posted online by Ali. To active voice, Ali posted the video online.
Okay, now you know the meaning or the difference between active and passive voice. Now let us proceed with the other objective of the lesson, which is for you to be able to transform verb from active to passive or vice versa. Okay, so the first one is using simple present tense. From the active voice, Jason prepares his meals. It would be his meals are prepared by Jason, or his own meals are prepared by Jason. Simple present tense active. Ethan informed his clients on the status of their order. The passive is his clients were informed by Ethan on the status of their order. Ay, kung napapansin nyo, binabaliktad lang natin yung pagkaka-forma ng ating pangungusap. Yung kayarian ng pangungusap. Next, we also have simple future tense. If the active says, the students will submit their report tomorrow, the passive form would be their report will be submitted by the students tomorrow. Present perfect tense. The school has decided to shut off its operations. In passive, it will be its operations have been decided. Past perfect tense. Athena had studied English before she moved to US. English had been studied by Athena before she moved to the US. Okay, future perfect tense. Anthony will have baked the cake before he leaves. The cake, in passive form, it would be the cake will have been baked by Anthony before he leaves. Active and passive voices of the verb may also occur in the progressive tense. Okay, so but first let us observe the pattern of the sentences. For this one, we have will plus be plus the past participle of the verb. Next, in the present perfect, we has or have been, or has been plus past participle of the verb. With past perfect tense, we have had been plus past participle of the verb. And with future perfect tense, we do have will have been plus past participle of the verb. If you still have questions with this, since there are many available video resources on YouTube which could help you understand these tenses of the verb. But the important thing here is that you know when to use the active or the passive voice of the verb. The thing is, we use either active or passive voice of the verb to give emphasis to the subject. Okay? For example, the subject in this active sentence is the student. Okay? It is the students who will submit the report tomorrow. So, sa sentence na ito, mas importante yung malaman ng makikinig o magbabasa kung sino ang magsasubmit ng report. Yun ay ang mga estudyante. However, if you would like to emphasize more the importance of what will be submitted, uunahin mo sa iyong sentence na maging subject yung their report. That's when it becomes passive. So the report will be submitted. So the report now is the subject. So it is the object which at the same time receives the action of the subject, the students. Okay, these active and passive voice sense will make sense better once you start studying research. Research, constructing sentences, explaining your topic, Okay, explaining the background of the topic or the problem, background of the problem in your research. So this is why this is taught to you as grade 7 students. Okay, let us proceed with learning task 4. It says convert the following sentences from active voice to passive voice. Write your answers in your notebook. Okay, I will be answering number 1 for you, but it is up to you to answer 1 to 10. Although learning task 4 has keto corrections on page, if I'm not mistaken, on page 36 or 37, maalin, of your module. But please, try to answer this first on your own before checking your answers um, using the keto correction. Okay, for number 1, the mayor declared a state of calamity. So the subject here is the mayor. The action is declared. And the predicate is a state of calamity. Sino ang doer ng action dito? Very good. It is the mayor. At ang doer ng action ay siya ang subject. Meaning this is an active voice. So the mayor declared what? Ano yung tumanggap ng action na declared? That's a state of calamity. Now, ma'am, how would you convert that active sentence into a passive sentence? That would be, a state of calamity was declared by the mayor. Okay, I hope you understood item number 1. Okay, please take your time analyzing and answering 1 to 10. Okay, once you're done trying to convert sentences 2 to 10 to active or passive voice of the verb, you may check your answers based on the keto correction found on page 36 of your module. And once you're done, you may proceed with learning task number 5. The task is convert the following sentences from passive voice to active voice. Write your answers in your notebook. Basically similar to learning task number 4. For number 1, the pyramids were built by Egyptians during the ancient civilizations. Okay, so we have the pyramid. Uh, we have the pyramid as the object and the Egyptians as the subject or the doer of the action. So since the object is in the subject, the pyramids were built by, this is in passive voice. So the task is for you to convert this sentence to active voice. So the answer is, the Egyptians built the pyramids during the ancient civilization. Okay, so I know that you already had the gist of this activity. Okay, so find the answers 1 to 6 task 5. Once you're done, you may check your answers and refer to the keto correction found on page 36. Okay, let us proceed with learning task 6. It says, think of your favorite dish. In your notebook, write the ingredients and the procedures to be taken in preparing your favorite dish. For each step, identify if it is in active or passive voice, then transform each statement from active to passive and vice versa. Okay, so this activity, This activity does not have keto correction at the back of your module since this is personal for every learner. Okay, so it is up to you on what favorite dish you have. For example, if your favorite dish is scrambled egg, so all you have to do is write the ingredients of this, how to make scrambled eggs, and then write each step. Beside each step, you have to identify if it is in active or passive voice. Then, you have to transform each statement to the vice versa. Okay, so remember, voices of the verb focuses on the function of the subject being either the doer or performer or the receiver of the action. The active voice occurs when the subject of the sentence acts as the performer or doer of the action, while the passive voice indicates that the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Now for our last learning task. So it says in your notebook, copy and answer the statements below. Then write A if the statement is in active or passive, is in active voice, and P if it is in passive form. Then transform each statement from active to passive and vice versa. So with this activity, you have two tasks to accomplish. First is to identify whether each sentence is active or passive, and the last one is to transform them to the vice versa. Okay, for example, No Limitangere is considered by experts as an enlightening novel. Since the doer of the action are the experts, but it is not the subject in the sentence, this is a passive voice, or it is in passive form. No limitangere is the subject, it is the receiver of the action being considered an enlightening novel. So, ma'am, how would you transform it to from passive to active? So, it would be the experts considered No Limitangere an enlightening novel. Okay, so that's how we do it. Now, I am giving you the time to answers answer items 2 to 10. Refer to the key to correction on page 37 of your module. Okay.